Child pornography, communicating with underage children online and attempting to have sex with children.
Each year throughout the Lowcountry, sting operations and detailed investigations are conducted by both local and state law enforcement agencies to combat crimes against children.
Hundreds are charged, but few serve lengthy amounts of time behind bars for those heinous crimes.
Our investigative reporter Emily Johnson dives into the sentencing behind child exploitation arrest and tells us how many criminals remain on our streets.
We want to warn you, many will find these details graphic, but we feel it is important for you to know what's happening in your community.
The descriptions you're about to hear are the least offensive and severe that we could share of the many detailed court documents we went through.
Dozen men facing charges, part of a months-long investigation.
There are still active investigations and more arrests will follow.
You lock your doors at night, leave the internet wide open.
This operation proves there are predators out there lurking.
Charges against child sex criminals are announced very publicly here in the Lowcountry, but what happens after the case is out of the public's eyes?
At the end of every one of these cases, a child that their childhood has been taken away from.
It's a very involved process, and it's not just like catching a bank robber.
An operation named Exposed was conducted by the Mount Pleasant Police Department in 2022. Daryl Clark being one of the 16 arrested. Clark was charged with criminal solicitation of a minor. Court records state that Clark indicated that he wanted to have sex with a 13-year-old boy and perform oral sex on him. He was ultimately sentenced to just 1 day in jail. In an unrelated arrest, Donald Gresh Jr. faced 6 charges relating to the possession and distribution of child pornography in 2018. Court documents show police found videos and photos on Gresh's computer. A video of multiple 11 to 13-year-old girls having sex with an older man, a photo of a 3 to 4-year-old child being forced to have sex, and multiple files of children performing sexual acts with animals.
You're not talking about someone who's just underage. You're talking about prepubescent children who are engaged in sexually explicit images.
Gresh also served just 1 day in jail.
Stopping someone from exploiting children, getting them on the sex offender registry, getting them in jail for any duration of time is a good thing.
Attorney General Alan Wilson says he's made the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force a priority, with the number of child exploitation arrests increasing each year. 311 were made from 2023 to 2024, up almost 100 arrests since 2019.
People can criticize all they want, but we're the ones out there catching the bad guys, and we're going to keep doing it.
But regardless of the effort by the task force and AG's office, many offenders still remain in our communities. Why is the sentencing lax in some of these cases?
It could be a number of factors that they get a very low sentence. We give the court the facts, and the judges make the decisions on how long that person should be in jail.
In some cases, people charged with child sex crimes have managed to plead down their charges, not even having to register as a sex offender. Jason Crow was originally charged with criminal solicitation of a minor, which is a felony for communicating with a 13-year-old girl online who was actually an undercover detective. According to his arrest warrant, Crow said to the undercover officer, quote, "I don't care about your age and would do it with you and be gentle doing it since it would be your first time. Would you have sex with a guy my age or am I too old? Just asking honestly." Crow pleaded down his charges to communicating obscene messages to another person without consent, a misdemeanor, and served 1 year in prison without having to register as a sex offender.
You know, obviously plea agreements are very fact-specific on the case. There could be a number of factors. There could be issues with evidence. It could be a coin toss.
And examples of repeat offenders are not hard to find.
The likelihood of you reoffending is very high, and this is where we run into challenges, especially because someone who's already been arrested and identified is still out there harming children.
Court documents state Robert Nazaro pled guilty to a range of 8 charges of child exploitation crimes in 2020 and spent 291 days in jail. 3 years later, Nazaro was charged again, this time with 15 crimes stemming from Operation Castnet. Nazaro thought he was communicating with a 14-year-old girl, asking her to perform sexual acts. The state charges were dropped as a result of federal prosecution, which is still ongoing.
It's never just one victim. There's always multiple victims. There's so many, it's a ripple effect. And I think that's what judges don't even take into account because they can't see it.
And for many offenders, it's a revolving door, in and out of a jail cell. Court records show Charles Dorta Bruno pled guilty to 4 child exploitation charges in 2023 after asking a 13-year-old girl to show him her panties and said, quote, "Have you ever had sex? If not, do you want to?" End quote. Dorta Bruno served 222 days behind bars, but since being out, has violated his probation 3 separate times, being located within 1,000 feet of a school and the Children's Museum of the Lowcountry. He was released from jail and back into our community for a 4th time in March. And we found dozens of more cases through our investigation with similar trends continuing to repeat itself. But who does the responsibility fall on?
We gave the judge the information. The judge made the decision based on the facts that we gave them. We don't set the charges.
What is the point in investigating these cases if the people remain still out on our streets?
Well, then the question is, then do we give up, right? And I don't think any of us is going to give up. As long as there's children out there that are being victimized, it takes people to go out there and protect them.
If you or someone you know are a victim of child exploitation, call 1-800-213-5652. For Live 5 Investigates, I'm Emily Johnson.
Now, after Live 5's interview with Alan Wilson, the AG's office was asked for clarification on when plea deals were offered and how the sentencing is impacted.
The office provided the following statement. We'll read it here. Charges are like chapters in a book. Judges want the book. Charges are rolled into a single indictment to present to the judge, allowing justice to be swift, sure, and carry the same sentence. Sentences are tied to indictments, not charges. Our office has secured convictions and jail time for thousands of cases involving internet crimes against children, end quote.